The video call connected just as the Dubai sun painted the Burj Khalifa in shades of gold and amber. I'd positioned my laptop carefully, ensuring the background showed only a generic white wall. No hint of the floor-to-ceiling windows or the skyline view that had cost me a fortune but fed my soul every morning. "Mariana, sweetheart, can you hear us?" My Aunt Patricia's voice crackled through the speakers, followed by a chaos of hellos from various relatives crowded into my parents' living room for our annual family reunion. "Hi everyone," I said, forcing a smile. "Sorry I couldn't make it this year. Work is just—" "Oh, we know all about your situation," Aunt Patricia interrupted, her voice dripping with the kind of sympathy that felt more like condescension. "Your mother told us everything." My stomach tightened. Everything. That's when I heard it, my mother's voice, theatrical and laden with practiced sorrow, coming from somewhere off camera. "It's been so hard having Mariana living in our basement. 5 years now. We keep hoping she'll get back on her feet, but—" A dramatic sigh. "Some children just fail to launch, you know?" The words hit me like a sandstorm. I sat in my 40th floor apartment, afternoon prayer calls echoing faintly through the glass, staring at the screen in disbelief. "Mom!" I called out, but she was still performing for her audience. "We don't charge her rent, of course. What kind of parents would we be? But it's difficult, having a 32-year-old daughter who just can't seem to make it in the real world. We've tried everything, career counseling, life coaching, even therapy." My cousin Mark's face appeared on screen, his expression a mixture of pity and superiority. "Don't worry, Mariana. Everyone struggles sometimes. Have you thought about maybe going back to school? Community college isn't that expensive." "I have an MBA, I said flatly. "From INSEAD." Right, he nodded, clearly not believing me. "Well, online degrees are better than nothing." I watched my family, 30-some relatives packed into my parents' modest suburban home, discussing my fictional failure with the enthusiasm usually reserved for gossip about celebrities. My mother had positioned herself at the center, absorbing their sympathy like a plant drinking sunlight. "We've even been paying for her food and utilities," my father added, shaking his head sadly. "But what can you do? She's our daughter." That's when I laughed. I couldn't help it. The sound burst out of me, sharp and bitter, cutting through their pity party like a blade. "Something funny about your situation, Mariana?" My mother finally addressed me directly, her eyes narrowed in warning. "Oh, plenty," I said, minimizing the video call window to pull up my banking app. "But please don't let me interrupt. Tell them more about your basement-dwelling failure of a daughter." As their voices continued, discussing my fictional unemployment, my imaginary depression, my made-up inability to function as an adult, I initiated the transfer I'd been making religiously for 5 years. $8,000 like clockwork every single month. But this time, instead of hitting send, I hit cancel. Then I did something I should have done years ago. I took a screenshot. When I maximized the video window again, my mother was in full flow. "We've sacrificed so much for her. That's what parents do, isn't it? We put our children first, even when they disappoint us." "Mom," I said, my voice cutting through her performance. "Quick question. What's the name of the company I work for?" She blinked, thrown off script. "What? My employer. Where do I work?" "Well, you're between jobs right now." "What's my address?" "Mariana, this isn't the time. You said I live in your basement. What's my room like? What color are the walls? Where do I keep my clothes?" Silence fell over the reunion. My relatives exchanged uncomfortable glances. "Actually," I continued, "here's an easier one. When's the last time you actually saw me in person?" My father shifted uncomfortably. "You're always so busy with your projects." 5 years ago, I said clearly. "I visited for Christmas 5 years ago. Stayed for exactly 3 days before flying back to Dubai, where I've been living ever since." "Dubai?" Aunt Patricia gasped. "But your mother said." "My mother says a lot of things." I angled my laptop toward the window, giving them a perfect view of the Dubai marina, its waters glittering in the afternoon sun. "Welcome to my basement. Bit different from what you imagined." The silence was deafening. "But if I'm such a failure," I continued, "I should probably stop sending you money, right? I mean, basement-dwelling losers can't afford to wire $8,000 a month to their parents. That would be irresponsible." My mother's face had gone from red to white. "Mariana, what are you talking about? This is inappropriate." "Inappropriate?" I pulled up the screenshot. "Let me share something inappropriate with you all." I held the banking screenshot up to the camera. 5 years of transfers. $8,000 a month. Nearly $500,000 total. Every month for 5 years, I said, watching their faces change as they did the math. While you told everyone I was a failure living in your basement, I was earning 6 figures as a hospitality consultant for luxury hotels across the Middle East. While you painted me as a disappointment, I was paying your mortgage, your car payments, your insurance, and leaving you plenty extra for the lifestyle you couldn't afford but refused to give up. Mariana, my father's voice was strangled. You can't just what? Tell the truth? Show receipts? Defend myself against the lies you've been spreading for half a decade. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Kevin, who'd been suspiciously quiet during the call. Holy shit, Mari. Is this real? I typed back, every word. We never asked you to. My mother started. No, you didn't ask. You demanded. Remember? 5 years ago, when Dad's business failed and you were 3 months behind on the mortgage. You called me crying, said you'd lose everything. Said family helps family. Said it would just be temporary. It was temporary. 5 years, Mom. 5 years of temporary. 5 years of me skipping vacations to ensure you had enough. 5 years of 70-hour weeks to maintain the income you'd grown dependent on. 5 years of you cashing my checks while telling everyone I was a pathetic failure. We were protecting your privacy, she said weakly. By making up elaborate lies? By literally creating a fictional version of me to gain sympathy? By letting family members offer me pity job opportunities and community college brochures. I looked at their faces on the screen, relatives who'd spent years feeling superior to the family failure, now processing that they'd been characters in my parents' elaborate fiction. You know what the ironic part is? I continued. I was proud to help. Proud that my success could support my family. I grew up watching you struggle, and when I finally made it, I thought I was being a good daughter. You were a good daughter, my father said quietly. No, I was a good ATM. There's a difference. My cousin Lisa finally spoke up. Aunt Linda, Uncle Robert, is this true? She's been supporting you this whole time. My mother's silence was answer enough. I need to go, I said, suddenly exhausted. But first, let me be crystal clear. The transfers stopped today. All of them. And before you panic about the house. Yes, I know you're still 3 months behind despite the money I send. I know about the credit card debt. I know about the home equity loan you took out last year without telling me. How could you possibly? Because unlike you, I pay attention. Because every financial advisor I've ever spoken to has told me I'm insane for bankrupting myself to fund your lies. Because I finally hired someone to look into where my money was actually going. My mother's carefully constructed image was crumbling in real time. Mariana, please. Let's discuss this privately. Like you discussed my failures privately? No, I think your audience deserves the full show. I looked directly at the camera, addressing the relatives who'd pitted me for years. Here's the truth. I graduated summa cum laude, got my MBA from one of the world's top business schools, and built a career that most people dream of. I live in an apartment with a view people pay to visit. I travel the world, not for vacation, but because luxury brands pay me extraordinary amounts to fix their problems. And yet, I continued, I've spent 5 years feeling like a failure. Not because of my reality, but because the 2 people who should have been proudest of me were too busy spinning lies to notice my success. Or worse, they noticed and chose the fiction anyway. My brother Kevin's face appeared clearly on screen for the first time. Mari, I didn't know. They told me you were struggling. I offered to help, but they said you were too proud. Too proud. I laughed again, but this time it was just sad. I've been sending them nearly half my income. There's nothing left for pride. Mariana, my mother tried again. You're being dramatic. We can work this out. We could have worked it out 5 years ago if you'd been honest. We could have worked it out last year when I offered to help you budget. We could have worked it out last month when I asked why you needed extra money for another emergency. But you chose this instead. You chose to make me a cautionary tale while spending my success. I glanced at the time. I have a client dinner in an hour. A Saudi prince who's opening a new resort in the Maldives. The kind of opportunity that basement-dwelling failures probably don't get, right? Please, my father said quietly. Don't cut us off. You need to figure it out. Maybe ask your successful children for help. Oh wait, according to you, you don't have any. The house will be foreclosed if you don't figure something out. I suggest honesty this time. Tell the bank the truth. Tell the family the truth. Hell, tell yourselves the truth for once. I moved to end the call, then paused. Oh, and Mom? Next time you want to use someone as a prop in your sympathy play, maybe pick someone who isn't funding your entire production. I disconnected before they could respond. The Dubai evening stretched before me, glittering and full of promise. My phone immediately exploded with messages. Cousins demanding explanations, aunts offering apologies, uncles expressing shock. I silenced it all. 2 hours later, as I sat in a Michelin-starred restaurant discussing project timelines with a client whose net worth had more zeros than my parents could imagine, my phone rang. Mom. I sent it to voicemail. The message was predictable: tears, accusations of cruelty, demands that I reconsider, warnings about family loyalty and obligation. I deleted it without finishing. Over the next days, the calls became increasingly frantic. The house payment was due. The car would be repossessed. How could I do this to them? Each voicemail revealed more of the truth. They'd been living entirely on my money, saving nothing, spending everything, confident their basement-dwelling daughter would always be there to fund their fiction. A week later, Kevin called from a different number, catching me off guard. Don't hang up, he said quickly. I'm not calling for them. What do you want, Kev? To apologize. And to understand. I found the mortgage statements. You've paid over $400,000. Mari, that's insane. Yes, it is. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? The successful daughter story, when Mom's been painting me as a failure for years. He was quiet for a moment. They're losing the house. I know. They're moving in with Aunt Patricia. Good for Aunt Patricia. Mari, they're telling everyone you had a mental breakdown. That your Dubai story was a delusion. That you were never really sending money. I laughed, really laughed this time. Of course they are. I've been showing people your banking screenshots. The ones you sent me. Some believe it, some don't. Mom's, she's convinced everyone you faked them. Let me guess. I'm now a basement-dwelling failure with delusions of grandeur and Photoshop skills? Pretty much. You know what? I'm okay with that. The people who matter know the truth. My employers know. My bank knows. The Dubai government that issued my golden visa knows. That's enough. What about family? What family, Kev? The one that believed I was a failure for 5 years? The one that never once questioned why successful parents would have a daughter living in their basement? The one that offered me pity instead of asking for my truth? I should have known, he said quietly. I should have questioned it. Yes, you should have. But you didn't. None of you did. Because it was easier to believe I was a failure than to question why my parents' lifestyle didn't match their income. 6 months have passed since that video call. My parents lost the house as predicted. They've cycled through various relatives, each eventually tiring of their stories and demands. Last I heard, they were renting a small apartment, my father working at a hardware store, my mother giving piano lessons. They still tell people I'm living in their basement. Their new basement, apparently, in a building I've never seen in a city I haven't visited. The story has evolved. I'm not just a failure now, I'm a delusional failure who believes she lives in Dubai. Sometimes I Google myself, finding the professional accolades, the industry interviews, the photos from hotel openings and luxury conferences. None of it penetrates the fiction my parents created. To them, I'll always be the daughter in the basement, no matter where I actually am. But here's what I've learned. You can't save people from their own lies. You can't force them to see you if they're invested in blindness. And you absolutely cannot build your worth on the foundation of someone else's fiction. My view of the Dubai sunset remains spectacular. My career continues to soar. My bank account, no longer drained by other people's deceptions, grows steadily. And if my parents want to keep their basement-dwelling daughter story, they're welcome to it. After all, everyone needs a good fiction. But I'm done funding theirs. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.